Hi, this is Rick Harsch, teaching my master class in fiction. You can skip this ad in 3 days. Today's lesson is more concentrated on the actual process of writing than many of my fun lessons, where I make fun of people or I say something serious about something that most of us are bored by. Sometimes I bore myself. I try not to watch myself after I do this because, I spend enough time with myself. It's too much. I was discussing with someone recently the possibility of having a mirror on the ceiling of my bedroom and why I wouldn't want that. Can you imagine waking up every day and going, "Oh God, you again?" The illusion that I'm not me probably allows me to carry on. And if you're any different, please make a comment and tell me how to better deal with this situation. But me as a writer, I'm okay with that. I have a sort of a mission in life, a new mission, which is why I started doing this, and that's to do my best to counter the absurd advice of fiction writers who are pompous, pretentious, and generally uninspired. Today, I'm doing something similar to that. I saw on Reddit a post by an editor who was giving tips to writers, and he had 5 main tips for young writers, and I want to go over those 5 tips. The first one was, don't use too many adverbs. First thing that's wrong with that is that me personally, I didn't even know what an adverb was till I was 34. Somebody was criticizing something I had written in the Iowa Writers Workshop, and they said, "There's too many adverbs." And I said, "What's an adverb?" And a nice woman said, "It's an ly word." I said, okay, wow, that's interesting. And her name was Lee, so I said, "That's interesting, Lee." And so, but too many adverbs. First of all, you don't need to be thinking when you're writing about what kind of words you're using. You need to be using the words that come to your mind. And you need to be doing that without being obsessive and having in your mind the whether or not you're writing obsessively, cautiously, absurdly, inspirationally, or dipshitly. You need to just be free. You need to be free, and so anybody who tells you anything that limits your freedom is interfering with your writing process. I often write exuberantly. I hope that I'm writing thrillingly, and I think that a page of adverbs would be a good writing exercise. Would be to write one page of one sentence or two at most. But a full page and get as many adverbs as you can in there. It's a good exercise for the mind. Okay? So try that. That's my assignment. All right? Now, the second thing is he cautions against back-to-back long sentences. And in doing so, he talks about, the poor brain of the poor reader. And I'm not sure what upsets people about long sentences, but we've had some extraordinary writers who use a lot of long sentences. And I responded that, and my overall response to this guy was, that this editor would have denied us under the volcano. And I remarked that that would be a crime against humanity. Long sentences or short, who the hell needs to pay attention? You want a reviewer to review your work and say, I thought that was a really, really fine book with lots of short sentences. Or do you want a writer who says, well, the book had many long sentences and many short sentences, so I have to give it a mixed review? No, we want him, our reader or our reviewer, we want him or her to talk about the content of the book, the quality of the writing, and so on. So back-to-back long sentences? What the fuck are you talking about? One of my best sentences I ever wrote was a 2-page sentence. And it was only one sentence. So I guess I did okay because the next one was very short. Somebody said something. And but it was a wonderful sentence, and I thrilled to it to this very day. And maybe I'll read it at one point, but not today. So again, you have something that limits the writer's imagination and gusto, and it thwarts the writer. Number 3 is be careful of scenes with too much detail. Now, it depends a great deal on how well you write detail, but you should never be conscious of how much detail you're using. You should be writing as you feel it, and you should be using the detail that you feel you would like to use. And so I have another assignment. 1 page of detail about anything at all, and just keep going and going and going, and you'll find yourself in metaphor land, and you'll be having a great time. You'll be writing exuberantly and precisely and metaphorically, and you'll be very happy with the results eventually. Oh, eventually. Shit, another adverb. Okay, 4, the passive voice. The passive voice. Good Lord. Well, I've found many ways to use many voices, and the passive voice has a wonderful exalted place in literature, and that's all I need to say about it. You do not need anyone to tell you whether or not you should write in an active or passive voice. That's something that will come from you while you're writing. And if you're thinking about it, you're in trouble. So don't think about it. 5, weird grammar all combined. I'm not sure what he means in general, but weird grammar seems to me a euphemism for experimental, interesting, yeah, okay, let's just leave it at that. But weird grammar, I'm not sure what that would be, but I'm a fan of the Dada and even the surreal, and I find that grammar is the enemy of the fiction writer. Grammar, and that's not because we don't use grammar. I'm using grammar every time I speak and every time I write, but grammar is there to be violated as well. And so weird grammar, do whatever the fuck you want. Enjoy yourself. That's why you're a fiction writer instead of a journalist. A journalist has to conform. A writer never has to conform and should not ever conform. And yet this whole thing, these 5 strictures, are restricting. And he writes restrictingly or restrictively. And he writes in such a way that he's assuming that the reader is an incapacitated, infantile person who cannot, whose attention span is very short, and you must be very careful not to demand that your reader think. And well, I guess I still think the best novel written by anybody from the United States is Moby Dick. And there are a lot of long sentences back to back. There are, I don't know how many adverbs there are. I never think about such things. There are scenes with extraordinary detail. There are chapters of detail. And you'll see that those chapters have very interesting layers of meaning. Does he use the passive voice? Probably. I mean, I don't know. Why the fuck would I even think about it? It's Moby Dick. It's a beautifully written book. Weird grammar all combined. Well, I hope so. I don't really know. He does then talk about the Oxford comma at the very end. And I agree with him about the Oxford comma because it's a simple matter of clarity. So you should know what the Oxford comma is and know why it sometimes needs to be used. And as with most rules, the only reason, not the only reason, one of the best reasons to know it, an important reason for knowing it, is so that you can violate it and create greater effect through doing so. But if you unintentionally leave out the Oxford comma and unintentionally therefore have your meaning obscured, well, that is a mistake. And so use the Oxford comma when you have to, but do abuse the Oxford comma. Overuse it and underuse it, and see what effects you can create by doing so. Now, this is an actual lesson from me, Rick Harsch. Take it from me. Everybody who tries to teach you how to write is an asshole, and they're trying to restrict your freedom, whether they realize it or not. They're assuming that readers are idiots. They're assuming that you don't have enough talent and to be free. And my assumption is that whatever talent you have will probably be eroded by a lack of freedom if you don't assert your freedom. So there you go. Another long one. I gotta go start downloading this so it's ready by Thursday.